Meeting to order. If you would please stand for the pledge. Come on, Michael.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, commissioners, you'll note in your packets you have two sets of minutes. One's from the executive meeting for the budget and then the normal RPC meeting. Any additions, deletions, motions?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion and properly made second on the meeting or on the meeting minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting minutes are approved. I'll turn it over to Mr. Tyndall for any announcements and deferrals.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. First, I'd like to welcome, we have our two summer interns here, Aiden and Aubrey in the back there, and what a way to start with the Planning Commission meeting on their first day. And I think the County Highway Department also has an intern with them as well, so welcome here. We do have quite a few deferrals today. If you're here for any of these cases, they will be deferred till next month after a vote here from the Planning Commission. We have case number 2, S29, 2026, Meritage Homes. That will be recommended for deferral to next month. Item number 4, SR9, 2026, Banner Properties, Banner at Ajax on Bellamy Lane will be deferred another month. I will note SR 41, Zaxby's, was withdrawn from the Planning Commission. SR 42, 2026, Bill Mace Homes for Mace Horseshoe Commercial Development, deferred till next month. Item number 8, SR 44, 2026, Courtney Lynch for Bill Ballou, proposed retail on Tiny Town Road and Tower Drive, recommended for deferral. Item number 9, Chris Blackwell, SR 45, 2026, 736 Main Villas, deferred 1 month. SR 46, 2026, Greg Gwynn from McAdoo Creek Townhomes, recommended for a month deferral. On page number 5, case 18, Z6, 2026, Bill Ballou for Ag to R1 on Needmore Road has been withdrawn. And on the following page, number 21, Z18, 2026, application of Faith Investments from O1 to C5 is deferred a month. And case 22, Z19, 2026, the estate of Jason Feltner, Bob Yates, executor from Ag to multiple zones on Crozier Boulevard and Dunlop Lane, also recommended for a deferral. There you go, commissioners.
Can we get a motion on deferrals or any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we know why number 9, SR 45, 2026 is being deferred? And I apologize, I had to join virtually on Friday, and I don't recall much being talked about that one.
Yeah, we sent out an email Friday. We did talk to the applicant, who at the time seemed agreeable at that date to a deferral, and then I think we got some correspondence back. We did send an email just before this meeting. It was asked for what are the conditions or what needs to be worked out. There's still 4 or 5 items that were emailed back. Because this is such a small site, you can see it's only 0.39 acres, and they still need to work out with the fire department. Anything that typically that would be a condition that we put on something, but this may require the site to be altered, and we want to make sure that all the other departments are satisfied with it. We also haven't heard back from CDE, so there's a couple things to work out, but I have no doubt we'll be able to work that out for next month's meeting.
I assume the fire department is here. Sorry, large crowd. Thank you, I appreciate that. Would we be able to hear from them here if they're good with it, and then just put it conditional on there? And I apologize, I'm looking, I don't see the email.
Well, you weren't copied on the email from today, back and forth with the engineers and the applicants. So
Okay, I thought you meant an email went out to us. I apologize.
No. So where do we want to stand on this?
Well, I'd ask the question, is there any way that we could just hear from them here The fire department and then a CDE, I mean, could we make it conditional? Are they here as well?
Put it at the end.
Okay.
You would just have to make a motion to remove it from the consent.
Okay, can I just make a motion and then we can decide it then at the time?
You want to make a motion to pull this to the end of the regular agenda then, right?
To pull it to the others that fall under the site review, wouldn't that be where that is?
Yeah, it'll go to the last item on the agenda after SR 47 then, under site reviews.
Okay. I'll make
Do
a
I have
motion.
on the as consent. Was there a motion yet made? I'm sorry.
Wait.
She just
Hold
made the
on.
motion, I believe.
I make a motion for approval of the deferrals, and then I make I need a second on that. And then I need a motion to pull to take this one off the consent agenda.
SR 45, 2026.
SR 45, 2026.
All right, we have a motion to remove SR 45, 2026 from the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a second as well. Any discussion? All those in favor of removing it?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, SR 45, 2026 is removed from the consent agenda.
Now we still have the motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda.
Yes,
with
sir.
that item removed.
Do we have a second?
I'm the second.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's the
yeah,
original
we did that one
motion.
first.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, consent agenda passes.
I think that works.
I think it
All right.
went the other way.
That was the consent agenda on the deferrals. I think it's clear. I think Commissioner Smith misspoke a little bit. The consent agenda that I just read, which was just the things that are marked deferred or withdrawn with the exception of 45, that was removed to consider at the end of the meeting. So we'll get to the consent agenda here in a minute.
All right, so we're going to have a public hearing on each one of these cases today.
Sorry, this is about our third month doing this format for the meeting, so not our typical routine. All right, this will be the consent agenda, so this will be anything that was not marked deferred or withdrawn, except for the one noted earlier. All items in this portion of the agenda are considered routine and non-controversial by the staff of the Regional Planning Commission and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the audience, commission, or staff may request that an item be removed for separate consideration. Mr. Parker's not here this month, so Mr. McCanna will read the site plans and subdivisions into the consent agenda, and we'll take it from there. Mr. McCanna, if you would read the other things not marked deferred or withdrawn into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Our first case will be item number 1, which is a subdivision for S28 2026. Applicant is CHM Clarksville LLC. Is for a request for subdivision of Autumnwood Farms for revised preliminary plat approval. This is for 91.4 acres on 13 lots. Zoning is R2 single family residential district, R4 multifamily residential, and C5 highway and arterial commercial district. The staff recommendation is for approval subject to the conditions listed. Our next case will be on site reviews. So this should be item number 3 in your agenda. This is for application of Todd Morris for 2265 Trenton Road, mixed-use property. Proposed use is retail and multifamily. There is approximately 14.3 acres on 4 parcels, zoned C5, highway and arterial commercial district, and R4 multifamily residential district. Staff recommendation is for approval, subject to the conditions listed. All right. Your next case will be SR 43. Applicant is BJ Properties. Name of the site is Keystone Villas with the proposed use of multifamily. Acreage is 6.3 acres with a number of 51 living units. Zoning is R4 multifamily residential, and the staff recommendation is for approval subject to the conditions listed. next case will be for SR 48. Applicant is Singleton Construction LLC. Name of the site is Whitfield Center Triplex. Proposed use is triplex building on individual lots. The acreage is 0.64 acres with a number of 6 living units. Zoning is R3, 3-family residential district, and the recommendation is approval subject to the conditions listed. Next case is SR 49, 2026. Applicant of CSDG, Jeremy Westmoreland. Name of the site is Legend Bank. Proposed use is office building. Acreage is 1.85, and the zoning is CBD, Central Business District, and the recommendation is approval subject to the conditions listed. And our final site review will be SR 50, 2026. Applicant is Clarksville Veterans Company LLC. Name of the site is Clarksville, Tennessee VA Outpatient Clinic with the proposed use of the VA Outpatient Clinic. Acreage is 54.3 acres on 2 parcels. Zoning is C2, General Commercial District, and C5, Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Staff recommendation is approval subject to the conditions listed. That wraps up our site reviews. Moving on to 4 abandonments. First being AB1, 2026. Application of Montgomery County Highway Department for a partial right-of-way abandonment of Cunningham Ridge Road. Approximately 0.89 miles of right-of-way being abandoned. Zoning is M2 General Commercial. Staff recommendation is approval with no conditions. Next case is AB2, 2026. Application of Montgomery County Highway Department, right-of-way abandonment of Grimes Road. Entire length of Grimes Road to consist of 0.1 miles. Zoning is Ag Agricultural District. The recommendation is approval, subject to the following conditions that are listed, which is 50 feet to remain as a private drive. Next case is AB3, 2026. Application of Montgomery County Highway Department, partial right-of-way abandonment of Perry Road. Approximately 0.25 miles to be abandoned. Zoning is Ag Agricultural District. Staff recommendation is approval with no conditions. And last, our final case on the consent agenda, AB4, 2026. Application of Montgomery County Highway Department for a partial right-of-way abandonment of Moore Road, consisting of 0.35 miles to be abandoned. Zoning is M2 General Industrial District. Staff recommendation is approval with no conditions. That should be the
Thank you, Mr.
entire
McKenna. Yep. Staff does not need to remove any of these from the consent agenda. Commissioners, are you requesting to remove any of these from the consent agenda as described? Anyone from the public need to discuss any of those items? Yes, ma'am. Which one? 28.
I believe it's S28.
Oh, number 1, sorry. The Autumnwood Farm subdivision? Okay, we'll remove that one. Anyone else from the public for anyone else? Yes, sir. AB3, we'll remove that one for separate consideration. Do we do these right away or we put them to the end?
I thought we talked about doing
I think we were doing right. We can do them right away. It's still in the order of the meeting here.
You'll just tell me what you want to do.
All right, any of the others? I got item number 1, S28, and then AB3. All right, commissioners, with the exception of S28 and AB3 2026, we put the others forward to you as a consent agenda with the conditions listed.
Motion for approval of consent agenda. Second.
All right, we have a motion for approval, properly made second on the consent agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda passes.
All right. We will take up item number 1 now, S28, 2026, CHM Clarksville LLC. Give us a chance to pull up the correct slides here, and Mr. McKenna will go over it in a little more detail.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tyndall. As mentioned before, this is the application of CHM Clarksville LLC, and this is for the revised preliminary plat of Autumnwood Farms, previously approved in 2024. Staff recommendation was for approval, subject to the conditions listed, and those conditions are, number 1, approval of all utility plans by the City Engineer's Office. Condition number 2, approval from the Clarksville Street Department to include right-of-way improvements, grading and water quality, and driveway access locations to the public right-of-way. Number 3, TDOT access permit required. Number 4, meet CD requirements per CDE light bands design at full cost to the developer. And number 5, a paved 10-foot multi-use pathway shall be installed along Autumnwood Boulevard and Horseshoe Cave Drive. Pending any questions, this is all I have for this case.
Any questions, commissioners? All right, I'm going to open up the floor for public hearing. Would anyone like to speak in favor of S-28, 2026? Thank you, sir. Please, name and address, please.
Don Kendall, Development Management Group, representing CHM Development, address 4209 Gallatin Pike, Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
We are here representing the project today. It's part of a bigger project that's coming before you for site plan review eventually. But today is just revising the preliminary plat. We accept the conditions of approval and would be happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Yes, sir. You will have an opportunity for rebuttal.
Great,
Okay.
thanks.
Yes, sir. All right, would anyone else like to speak in favor of S-28, 2026? Seeing none, would anyone like to speak against S-28, 2026? Yes, ma'am. Come on up, please. Name and address.
I'm Lenore Erickson, 1719 Cabana Drive. I can see this property from my kitchen window. The RPC website was down this morning, so I'm hoping my descriptions are accurate. My concern about SR 28 is regarding the roundabout on Autumnwood Drive and what happens to Carolyn Drive. First, this case, SR 28, is connected to SR 44, which is Mr. Ballou's proposed retail, which has been deferred. There are 5 parcels on Tiny Town Road between Moonbeam Drive and Autumnwood Drive. South of these is a service road. Then there's an unnamed space, another travel easement, and Mr. Ballou's 18-acre retail parking lot and building. The travel easement should be Carolyn Drive. The plat actually shows Carolyn Drive becoming a travel easement, moving east to the roundabout, then continuing to Horseshoe Cave Drive. It seems like the developer doesn't want to bother with building a real street with drainage and sidewalks and such. And I want to know why not. East of the intersection is the hospital parking lot described as a traveling easement. I've never heard of a roundabout of travel easements. S44, Mr. Ballou's building, says it is a retail business. If it is a store with loading docks, then I am firmly against over-the-road trucks using a roundabout on Autumnwood Drive. I would propose that the intersection should be Autumnwood Drive north and south through Street. The 2 parking lots would then each empty onto Carolyn Drive. Carolyn Drive would have stop signs. North of the intersection would be 3 lanes wide to allow for the traffic to turn left or right onto Tiny Town Road. Why the hospital is proposing a roundabout is inconsistent with how the entire farm should be used. I would like to state my vision for the entire property. I can see at least another 1,000 apartments being constructed south of the hospital and Mr. Ballou's retail building. I think Carolyn Drive should run from Tower Road to Horseshoe Cave Road. The bus should turn from Tiny Town Road onto Moonbeam with a stop at Moonbeam and Carolyn Drive to service the 250 apartments that are Autumnwood West apartments that are west of Moonbeam. Then it should turn left onto Carolyn Drive with a stop at Autumnwood Drive to surface all the residential properties south of the intersection. Then it should service the hospital. Then it should turn left onto Horseshoe Cave Drive and turn back onto Tiny Town Road at the traffic light. It is important to have a bus service the hospital, and it cannot do that if the hospital has a service drive and not a street. Please defer this request until the 2 cases can be heard together and all parties agree on to how Carolyn Drive and Autumnwood Drive should be intersected. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Would anyone else like to speak against S-28, 2026? Seeing no one, would the applicant like to rebut any of the previous comments?
So we're a little late to the party here. Mr. Blue, the owner of the property, paid for the original preliminary plat and the traffic study that documented all the improvements that are shown currently on the plat. My understanding is the roundabout was an added request that may have come from the Planning Commission. I'm not certain, but it was a request that was made and was added to Autumnwood. Our development needs a travel easement in order for it to work sufficiently. And we provided a letter from the traffic consultant that demonstrates that the change we are trying to make will not affect traffic going from the two public roads that are currently being constructed. As far as the hospital, my understanding is the hospital is not very far along in their plans, but they did submit a letter or an email saying that they desired to have a travel easement as well. So we're not here to debate the traffic or what's in the traffic study. I think that's already occurred and has been approved. We're just solely asking for a travel easement in lieu of a public road.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, we're going to end public hearing there. Commissioners?
We are able to shed a little light on what was said if you'd like to know a little more. This is probably the third iteration, I think, of this that you've seen. This one has some lots available. We have approved a couple site plans off of some of these roads already. Originally, Caroline was a public road most of the way with the original concept during the rezoning. The roundabout was not there at the time. And then after they've gone through several traffic studies, worked with TDOT, the street department, and the RPC, the decision was to have a roundabout there due to the two higher intensity uses on both to the east and the west of the roundabout, the hospital and a big box retailer. What has happened instead is then the travel easement that's further to the north that runs at the rear of those frontage lots on Tinytown, they were only given us so many driveways on Tinytown, so that's the primary entry to most of those parcels is from the back and not off Tinytown Road. That's going to be a 3-lane private road built similar to city standards with curbs and all. And we'll work on the sidewalk when they come in individually for site plan review. That's going to run behind the frontage of all those parcels and connect to the east where Calumet Drive is at a 4-way intersection there. So while not the original plan, this still accommodates east-west traffic without it having to go on Tinytown, which was our goal all along. And it allows the two bigger users central to this property to still have traffic flow through their properties, but allows them to work with the parking lot and building arrangement that they need due to the topography out there. If there's any other questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Thank you for the explanation. Commissioners?
I'll make a motion for approval. Second.
All right, we have a motion for approval, properly made second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, S28, 2026 passes.
All right, thank you, commissioners. Now we'll have we'll have a presentation of AB3 2026, item number 16 on the agenda.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tyndall. As stated before, this is case AB3 2026, application of Montgomery County Highway Department. Again, it is a partial right-of-way abandonment of Perry Road. Location is a portion of Perry Road that consists of 0.52 miles with 0.23 miles to remain as public right-of-way. Acreage of the site around is 0.189, and then the zoning is ag commercial. It is in the rural area growth plan area. Staff still has no recommendations, has an approval recommendation with no conditions. The County Highway Department circulated this to all departments. There were no conditions or any comments from any received. Pending any questions, that is all we have on this case.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, commissioners? All right, we're going to open up the public hearing then. Would anyone like to speak in favor of AB 3 2026? Seeing no one? Go ahead, sir.
The highway department, the people requesting this abandonment,
Yes.
I understand what they're writing, but it sure would be nice to hear from them.
Okay.
I was hoping they'd come up and speak in favor.
Alex Morris, Montgomery County Highway Department. Can't remember a new address off Crossland. Thank you.
I do read where you're saying it's only servicing one parcel or whatever.
Yes, sir.
And can you go over a little bit more as far as?
Yes, sir. The red portion that is highlighted there is not suitable for development or beneficial of any other public entity. It only services one parcel, one individual, and is considered private at that point. We're just trying to trim up loose ends. This is a road that was a part of a long list of roads that was done in 2014 but was not done properly. So what we've done is gone back, addressed those roads, and we're trying to get them case by case to be abandoned appropriately based on what's been developed and what is the intent for the future of it. So it's not reasonable for us to send our tractors down there to mow, and it's not reasonable for us to send our dump trucks down there to salt any of it. So it's just not something that we would maintain. So us abandoning it allows the property owner to do with it as they wish.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak in favor of AB 3 2026? Would anyone like to speak against AB 3 2026?
My name is Wade Hadley, 407 Stone Meadow Road. I don't, if I could give y'all a.
Thank you, sir.
The red line past the house, if you can see the house on the map there, I didn't know it was there. I mean, I'd be glad to see it go. I don't even know why it was there. Some kind of four-wheeler road, I guess it goes right through a hay barn. But what I was concerned about is this is my daughter and son-in-law's property being affected here. And they have 3 sons, and I'd like to see them be able to have the opportunity to build a house on this property. Well, if you look at this map, as it goes up to the house, from the property line is 405 feet, give or take. This came from the courthouse retrieval system. And they're gonna leave us, my daughter and son-in-law, 50 feet of road there. And so my grandsons could have 2 pretty bad flag lots there, you know, one on each side of that 50-foot road. So what I'd like to see is just leave the road as it is. I don't care anything about the red line going back behind the house. You can do away with all that. But just the road, if you look at that map closely, it coincides with this road right here. It's overlay on this road right here, if you look through the red. But I would respectfully request that you just leave the road as it is. The county is not maintaining the last 350 feet. That's fine. I just don't want it abandoned. It's not costing the county any money because they're not putting any gravel on it, they're not maintaining it, they're not doing anything to it. They did recently blacktop from the highway up to 50 feet past the property line, which I do appreciate. But I would like to see this Perry Road boundary stay as it is right now. That way we could have 3 pretty good lots there for the boys someday. Any questions?
Thank you, sir. Can we get the highway department up here again, mate, for a rebuttal?
Yes, sir.
See what you have to say about his comments.
I mean, he can still do everything he wants to do. He'll just have to develop the road out to the point where each lot has 50 foot of road frontage. That'd be what we require of any developer that's going to subdivide. So that's why we're getting rid of any kind of non-serviceable, non-maintainable portions of highway, of county road, And so anyone that wants to subdivide and build, they can. They just need to develop the road out to handle the capacity they're adding to it.
Mr. Morris, we gave you a copy of what Mr. Hadley provided us. So
Yes,
on
sir.
this map, it appears that it might go through the word Perry, maybe what the
This right here? Yes, sir.
what the tax assessor has versus what you have is obviously different. You have a road list, they have an actual parcel map. So I wonder if we might be able to defer this a month and see if there's some space between the 0 that you're proposing and the 400 that might be a better fit out there for that. Still abandoning the rest of that dirt road or paper road as it is that goes up to the north. So,
I'll be happy to present that to Jeff Bryant.
okay.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to the commissioners now. We're going to exit public hearing. All right, we have a motion to defer and a properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, AB 3 2026 has been deferred. All right, we're going to go into the zoning cases now. Each person will be able to, well, 3 people will be able to speak in favor, 3 people will be able to speak against, 3 minutes each, and there will be an opportunity for rebuttal. I'll also remind everybody on the zoning cases, these cases will go to either the city council if they're in the city limits, or they will go to the county commission. So if you're interested in these cases, keep an eye on their next meeting at the city and county level, and you can go there and voice your concerns or stay up to date on the situation as well. If you have any questions in the process after this, you can always contact the RPC or the city or county offices. And without further ado, we will move into the zoning cases. Thank you.
Members of the commission, your first city zoning case starts on the city zoning tab is Z11 2026. It's the application of agent of Matt Lassiter. Casey and Beth Brown Community Property Trust is the applicant. This request is 1.51 plus or minus acres, presently zoned C3 Regional Shopping Center District, proposed C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. This is along the northern frontage of Merchants Boulevard, 980 plus or minus feet west of the intersection with Merchants Court. The request stated by the applicant is so that they can build a gymnastics center. Property is currently a vacant lot. It is in the St. Bethlehem planning area. Under department comments, you will see that the street department indicated a traffic assessment was required and a line of sight triangle at the entrance. Traffic assessment was accepted. Improvements may be required at the Merchants and Wilmer Boulevard intersection during the site plan review. The impact would be the proposed C5 zoning designation is intended to support a diverse mix of auto-oriented commercial uses and services. This can provide a broader range of commercial uses. Future land use opinion map indicates this property is corridor commercial. The staff's recommendation is for approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The proposed C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District aligns with the corridor commercial future land use designation for this parcel. The intersection of Merchants Boulevard and Wilmer Boulevard currently has some safety and traffic flow concerns, particularly with northbound and left turn movements. Both the current zoning and proposed zoning permit uses with similar traffic generation characteristics. And then you have the aerial photograph showing the property in question, the future land use opinion map showing corridor commercial, and then the current zoning map. If you have any questions for myself or the staff, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them for you.
Commissioners, any questions? All right, we're going to open up public hearing on Z11 2026. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Seeing none, would anyone like to speak against Z11 2026? All right, we're going to exit public hearing. Commissioners?
Motion for approval.
All right, we have a motion for approval, properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Z11 2026 passes.
Commissioners, your next application is on page 8 of the staff report. It is Z17 2026, the application of Marvin Pitts. The request is to go from M2 General Industrial District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. This request encompasses 0.85 plus or minus acre. It's a parcel located on the northern frontage of Craft Street, approximately 780 feet west of the Craft Street and College Street intersection. The reason for the request stated by the applicant is to make the current business compliant with zoning and to conform with zoning in the general area. Property is currently has a tire shop in operation. It is in the downtown urban core planning area. You'll see that there were no department comments of any concern in reference to this application. The impact would be increases of commercial development opportunities with a diverse mix of auto-oriented commercial uses and services, and removes a potential industrial, the potential M2 industrial uses for this parcel. A future land use opinion map indicates this is commercial industrial hybrid. Staff's recommendation is for approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The proposed C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District has usable frontage along an arterial highway, State Route 13, also known as Craft Street, and also aligns with the commercial and industrial hybrid future land use designation for this area. Should be noted that both the C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District and M1 Light Industrial District align with the commercial industrial hybrid future land use designation for this area. You do have the two aerials showing the property in question. Then you have the future land use designation and the current zoning. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, seeing no questions, I'm going to open up public hearing on Z17 2026. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Would anyone like to speak against? We'll exit public hearing. Commissioners?
Motion for approval of the request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. Second.
We have a motion properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Z17 2026 passes.
All right, Commissioners, I believe the next one is starts on page 15 of the staff report. It is Z20 2026. It's the application of Tanya Bosley with the agents of Jason Harrington and Franklin Square Partners. The total acreage of this request is 4.41 plus or minus acres. It is located at the northwest corner of Rossview Road and the Bosley Lane intersection. The reason for the request stated by the applicant is for a retail building and a commercial a child care facility. Presently zoned R1, proposed to go to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. It's a large, fairly level parcel with a single-family home on site. It is in the St. Bethlehem planning area. There is previous zoning history for this application. In 2025, the request was to go from R1 single-family to C2 general commercial. Both the staff and the RPC recommended approval. That was disapproved at the City Council. Today, the request is to go from R1 single family to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Department comments for this application: the gas and water has stated there's no gravity sewer available. The Clarksville Street Department requested an update to the traffic assessment to reflect the C5 request. The traffic assessment has been reviewed and approved with that update. The school system has provided a comment as this property is adjacent to the three-school Rossview campus. As commercial sites are developed near a Clarksville-Montgomery County School System three-school campus, vehicle congestion and increased pedestrian traffic safety must be considered. Vehicles turning left from the multiple access points onto Rossview Road will directly impact traffic approaching and exiting to and from the Rossview campus during this school year. Currently, traffic access to Rossview's campus proves difficult with daily vehicle loads, counts traveling in and around the vicinity of this proposed development. This continued growth necessitates additional action to address building capacity and school bus transportation needs in Montgomery County. This development could add additional students and require additional infrastructure and funding. No connectivity will be granted to the campus roadway infrastructure. The impact of the proposed use on surrounding development of C5. The C5 designation is intended to support a diverse mix of auto-oriented commercial uses and services. One of the distinctions between C2 and C5 is the allowance of multifamily in C2 that is not permitted in C5. As stated earlier, it is in the St. Bethlehem planning area, and the future land use designation map indicates this property is a mixed residential neighborhood. The staff is recommending disapproval. This request is not consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The proposed C5 highway and arterial commercial zoning classification does not align with the site's future land use designation of mixed residential neighborhood. The C5 district permits a broad range of auto-oriented commercial uses, many of which may be incompatible with adjacent residential development patterns and nearby schools. You do have the aerial photo of the of the request shown there crosshatch, and then you do have the future land use designation shown there of mixed residential neighborhood, and then you have the current zoning map. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them.
Mr. Spain Howard, did you say that we, staff and commissioners voted, last time voted?
In favor of the C2 general commercial, yes, sir.
But it failed at the city due to being C2, they were worried it would build multifamily there.
I believe that was stated
So they came back with a commercial only. Is there another commercial grade lower than C5 that allows daycares?
I believe there possibly could be, but it would be limited to the total number of acreage. I believe C1 would allow it, and it has a 2-acre max size requirement. So the answer is yes and no. For this site, that would not fit.
And when we did, just to jog my memory, when we approved it, both staff and commissioners, at the C2 level, and y'all's heartburn now is that anything and everything can be placed on that property.
Yes, C5 has some more intense uses that, like I said, are not necessarily compatible with the residential neighbors and the school itself.
Can I make a statement there, though? There's no residential neighbors. Y'all approved C5, even though it says in the comprehensive plan, mixed residential neighborhood, C5 is right next to it across the entrance to the school grounds. There's no residential around it. The left field's right in front of the school. It's a big field. Right across the driveway entrance is another commercial use. So my thinking on that is we got two maps contradicting each other a little bit. It is adjacent to C5. The only difference there is the entrance to the school.
I'll answer that question. I'm first going to remind you all, please push your buttons so we can get your recording on the, that's fine. So it makes it a little easier on Drew when she's doing the minutes. She doesn't have to crank the volume up as much. When we were doing the comprehensive plan now, probably almost 3 years ago when we were starting to do these maps, neither of these parcels were developed. You know, the self-storage hadn't been thought of yet. And we thought this was an area, because there had been some previous applications for R4 on that site to the east, that we thought these two parcels might be better suited as multifamily right next to the school, walk right to the school, maybe with some commercial frontage like you do have next door with those strip centers. So it's one of those examples where we haven't exactly followed the future land use map, so now it looks out of place. But that's why you see the C5 to the east, which I believe we were possibly against, though it was C4 previously. And now this obviously becomes just the next piece with the school in the way to the neighborhood to the west. So we thought the C2 last time, and obviously the board did too, with its approval, was the more appropriate. You may still think this is appropriate. We think it might be just a little too much for the being next to the school out there. I know the intended use, which was stated last time as a daycare plus some sort of a shop or strip mall or something like that. Could happen in either zone, but it was defeated at City Council. They did wait their year, and they are back for another consideration.
And that's kind of, hits a little button. And that's kind of what gets me, though, is their use hasn't changed. They've stated the same thing, retail and daycare, which the daycare technically, in my opinion, benefits the school. being there, even though the school is not going to allow access to their driveway. But they've came with the same conditions again, that they're going to build this exact model. And I know C2 typically scares the city council because it does have that ability to build apartments. So if C5 is the only avenue they can go to achieve their goal, and it's adjacent to C5, I personally feel like we should make a motion to approve.
Let's do the public hearing. I'm going to look up the code and answer that question when we get done with public hearing, and we can further debate that.
Mr. Friedman?
Can we also make sure if C3 or C4 is available for daycare?
Yeah, I'm going to check that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when it came forward before, I don't know that it actually did have the retail center. I think it was, the intention was just to do the daycare, was it not?
There were 2 buildings on site. I think there was a retail frontage and a daycare at the back of the property.
Because I thought when I talked with them, because I had tried to bring forward to allow them to come forward earlier, and that was with the intent of them doing a PUD, which was just going to be a child care center. But the council voted that down to not allow it to come back early for them to introduce a PUD. But a PUD would have allowed them to just do it if it was a child care center.
The original thing, it's been over a year at this point, but I believe the rendering they showed had 2 buildings on it, but I may not remember that right.
Okay, because I think,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was just a little different in the C5. It does increase, and I know it is to the right, and I was okay with it, but this is even more in the front yard for me. But
Maybe-
especially with the changes with the upcoming zoning rewrite. So, okay, thank you.
Maybe we can get the applicant up here and help shed some light on things. Commissioners good on questions? Okay. I'm going to open up public hearing on Z20 2026. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Come on up, sir. Lots of questions.
My name's Jason Harrington, 6076 Temple Road, Nashville, Tennessee. I think the original applicant a year ago, he had C5 and he was going to do multifamily. We are not interested in doing multifamily. We just want C2 so we can do a daycare and a retail building. So that's all we want to do. Or do we have it? Do I have it reversed?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So you want C5?
C5. We just want to do a daycare in the back and a retail building in the front.
Okay.
So
To clarify, so you're a different applicant than it was previously?
A different applicant.
Because the previous one said they weren't intending to do apartments.
Yeah, well.
Sorry,
we're not,
just
we're
wanted
not
to
intended-
clarify
yeah.
what you said there.
Yeah,
so.
we're not intending to do apartments. So.
And you can't in C5.
Okay,
but-
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So that's all I have. So.
One second. Any other questions to the
Any other
applicant,
questions?
commissioners?
Okay.
Anything
And
else?
then the existing daycare that we're putting in, he just built one in Rockville, so it would be another daycare he already has. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Rockville. It's a learning center, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of Z20 2026? Come on up. Name and address, please.
Jeff Parnell, Simply Commercial. I'm the listing agent on the property. I live at 109 Loretta Drive in Goodlettsville, Tennessee. So when we first listed this property for the owner, my job is to try to see what is possible to be built there and try to find a buyer for that. And so my first call was to Joe Shekina, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, to try to figure out what is desired there. And in that long conversation, I think we kind of went through some of the maps, and there was a little bit of a conflict there. But he said the reality is my constituents do not want any more residential properties on that land. They just want commercial, neighborhood commercial that is going to serve the residents that exist there. And that's all that he said he would ever support. Okay, easy enough. Okay, so I go and I find a buyer and try to work with him. And he was going to do retail and a child care center, just like what we've proposed now. And yet, he came in and said, I want to do C2. And y'all said, okay, but then it went to the council and they said, we told you, nothing that would allow residential property? No. The answer is no. Okay. So he backed off. We didn't sell him that property. We went back to market and we found somebody and we said, look, we have been told you will be approved, but it has to be C1, C3, or C5. It cannot have a residential component, period. You can't just say you're not going to do it. It can't be allowed in the zoning that you're requesting. So they have put together and said, okay, we're going to come in here and do a C5, and I think it's because that's the only one that allows the childcare use on this size lot. So we really are trying to do what you guys are asking us to do. And so that's what is before you. I beg of you to approve this, please. The owner has been at this for a couple of years now. And there are things happening in the background that are, we don't need to defer this. We need this to be approved. Our request is reasonable. What we are planning to build there is a good use of the property, and we're doing what we've been asked to do. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, I have room for one more in favor of Z 2026. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Seeing no one, would anyone like to speak against? Come on up, sir. Name and address, please.
Joe Van Duzen, 3214 Quincy Lane, Clarksville, Tennessee. I think there's plenty of communities around the state of Tennessee that have allowed high-intensity automobile-centric uses around schools, and it results in a lot more pollution that our kids are breathing in and day out. I know what they're saying is what they're saying, but that's not what zoning is. If in 20 years the zoning is still going to be C5, so if they decide to tear down that retail and build something else, they certainly will be allowed to, as long as that's permitted in that certain classification. So we have to really think more than just like the next handful of years. Further, the comprehensive plan reserves this place for mixed residential neighborhood, not automobile dependent uses. There's limited amount of space where it makes sense to build mixed use residential of varying housing types by schools, which is a very common destination for both people that work there and for students that will be commuting to there by their own 2 feet. This is the easiest and cheapest way for us to do that as a community, so we need to just say no to this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak against Z 2026? Come on up, sir. Name and address, please.
Eric Launch, 724 RS Bradley Boulevard, Clarksville, Tennessee. I have received a couple emails about this, and residents in that area do not want C5. Understanding that if it was just a daycare center, that would be advantageous, but with the commercial facility in front of it, do we need another strip mall next to a school? That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have room for one more against Z 2026. Would anyone like to speak against? All right, seeing no one, would any of the proponents like to rebut any of the speakers? Okay, we're going to exit public hearing then. Commissioners?
I'll make a motion for disapproval based on the request not being consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan.
All right, we have a motion. All right, without a properly made second, that motion fails. Back to the commissioners.
I just want to speak on it for a second, because I remember this case pretty vividly from a year ago. We have a case of we can't make everybody happy. I remember Joe Shackney, city councilman, came in here, talked with us about this case. All of his constituents did not want residential there. Yes, I see that in the comprehensive plan it says mixed residential neighborhood, but half of that yellow that's on that map is also already C5. You have a gentleman who spoke that it should be mixed residential so that people could walk to the school. If the constituents last year said they don't want it, but our zoning only allows for a daycare to be in a specific type of zoning. Is there a way to have a variance on that? That we could change this to C3 or C4 so it's a less intense commercial and they get a waiver or variance that allows them to build a daycare? Because applicants have come twice and said daycare. The city council turned it down the first time after a recommendation of approval from this body because it was a lower intensity use commercial. Got to the city council, they said, no, you can build apartments on that. No, 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 because their constituents did not want that. Now we're back and they're saying commercial only, and you got people saying, we don't want that intensive commercial, it needs to be less commercial. So we've got to find somewhere in the middle that if a daycare, which I think is an appropriate use in front of a school personally, can get approval without being the most intense commercial zone that we have.
Yeah, I'll be able to answer that. So, childcare centers are allowed in the commercial zones of C1, C2, C3, C5, so not C4. Problem with C1, and this is just an old rule that's in the zoning code, is you can't zone more than 2 acres at a time to C1. This is a 4-acre parcel. It's intended to be really small neighborhood. C2, we already know what happened with that last year. And then C3 right now is not the appropriate zone here. That's more like around the mall. We've never really zoned anything to C3. In the future, we know C3 will probably be more compatible in the new zoning ordinance, but that doesn't extremely help them now. Then you throw on the second half is they also want retail. Well, the C2 allows that, but it also allows the apartments as discussed. C3 allows some in-between retail, and then the C5 allows the full retail that they're looking for. So, yeah, they are kind of caught, what you're saying, in between a rock and a hard place. We've said go ahead. City council has said none. Staff, we're sticking to the plan like we typically do. Your opinions may vary, and then it's going to get to the city council, and it's going to be, oh, you did what we told you to do. So, you know, it just shows you we don't make recommendations just because we know that's where the political will is going to go. We follow the plans and the recommendations of the documents that we have.
Why would C3 not be appropriate here?
I don't know. To be honest, we haven't zoned anything to C3 except for the Freedom Farms project since I've been here in 8 years. It's considered a regional commercial center. I'd have to answer that another time. I don't have an answer off the top of my head for that one.
It does allow daycares though, C3?
It does appear to.
Yes.
Yeah.
At that acreage? Or could they go to C1 and apply for a waiver to allow more acreage at one time?
I will say this, and I'm just what I've observed today. The gentleman said he didn't have a month to defer. So any change of the zoning classification would require us to go back and start over again. I think that's important to note what he said. I think the path forward happened the month after it was heard at City Council. The PUD application would have locked them into specifically what they said they were going to do, and that opportunity was voted down as well. So that would have locked in those specific uses that they said, would have locked in the specific site plan that they said at that time, and the council voted no to that as well. So as it takes 3/4 of the council, I guess, to get the opportunity to do that. So, so I think everything else has standing to what people said. We have a land use plan that we followed, that we were given direction when it was voted into the use, and we try to follow it. So,
well, I'd make a motion for recommendation for approval based on its an extension of the commercial zoning to the east of it.
Second.
All right, we have a properly made motion and a second in favor.
Aye.
Well, sorry. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. Z20-2026 passes. That's C5.
All right. Next case, commissioners, will be a county zoning case, CZ. No,
you skipped one.
I put my notes over the other one. Sorry, Z21.
That starts on page 22 of your staff report. It's the application Z21 2026, the application of Todd Morris. The request is to go from M1 Light Industrial District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. This request encompasses just over 1 acre at 1.07 plus or minus acres. It's a parcel located on the western frontage of Industrial Drive, approximately 700 feet north of the West Dunbar Cave Road and Industrial Drive intersection. The reason stated by the applicant is to be more compatible with surrounding areas. The present zoning is M1 Light Industrial, proposed to go to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. It's currently developed lot with structures on site. It is in the St. Bethlehem planning area. There were no department comments of any concern in reference to this application. The impact of the proposed use on the surrounding development is the proposed C5 zoning designation is intended to support a diverse mix of auto-oriented commercial uses and services. It is in the St. Bethlehem planning area, and the future land use designation for this property is commercial and industrial hybrid. Staff's recommendation is for disapproval. This request is not consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The request for C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District does not have frontage on an arterial highway, and the nearest arterial highway is Wilma Rudolph Boulevard, which is over a quarter-mile away from this parcel. It should be noted that the M1 Light Industrial District is currently being reviewed as part of the zoning ordinance rewrite project, and it is likely that available uses in M1 will be expanded to allow for a slightly wider range of uses that are appropriate in the light industrial setting. You have 2 aerial photographs showing the property in question. You have the future land use designation of commercial industrial hybrid, and then you have the current zoning for the area. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them for you.
Any questions, commissioners?
Let me ask one more today. I noticed there's C5 down on the low side of the zoning map from what we're looking at. Was that not brought up in the last 3 or 4 months?
Thank you for bringing that up. I apologize. That came up at the beginning of the year to request to go to C5, and the recommendation from the staff was for disapproval as well. I did pass at City Council, though, as you can see on the map.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe it passed due to the zoning rewrite allowing some of the same uses, if I remember correctly. All right, we'll open up public hearing then on Z21 2026. Anyone like to speak in favor?
Good afternoon, Larry Riccone for the applicant, 308 South 2nd Street. Commissioner Kimbrough, you're exactly right. This application was made because of the recent rezone to the C5 of the adjacent property. Currently, Mr. Morris uses this as his office. I've spoken with Mr. Tyndall and the staff. With some intended expansion or future use there, we're not 100% sure we're going to be compliant. If anything, we think we don't need this heavy of a zone, so we're trying to go to the C5 based on future use. Mr. Morris, sometimes it's difficult to get in contact, and I just came into town this weekend. I don't have the ability to defer it. I'm going to continue to address this before the city. We had a very good discussion about it today. But I need to keep moving forward. Mr. Morris just wanted me to convey that he's just trying to do the right thing and stay in compliance with what he's doing. And if anything, he doesn't need this heavy. Y'all all know this area. What's actually going on in most of those over there is probably less intense than what was intended in some cases, and probably more intense in others. So everybody's trying to get a little more in line. So we're just trying to move forward with it. And otherwise, I'll answer any questions. That was going to be my whole spiel, was I'll answer any questions like we used to do a long time ago, but I wanted to give you all a history on why we're here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak in favor of Z21 2026? Seeing no one, would anyone like to speak against Z21 2026? All right, we're going to exit public hearing. Commissioners?
Mayor, I just wanted to make a statement that, again, it looks like our comprehensive plan is at odds with what's being requested, because you got it labeled and highlighted in blue there as a commercial industrial hybrid. That is majority industrial, except one little parcel that got approved less than a year ago, and now this request. So if we're gonna follow what a commercial industrial hybrid is, we probably need some commercial in there. I'm just saying. May not need to be this intense, but again, that whole area is labeled commercial industrial hybrid with only one commercial plot in it other than the road frontage out on the arterial highway. The only reason I don't have a problem with commercial in that loop right there is because that loop is a feeder, which would be a great feeder for the commercial areas. But I'll speak on it again later.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. And Commissioner Smith, you hit on it. I mean, in the future code rewrite, we're trying to align those a little better. It's just that the C5 that was out there was, they couldn't wait. They didn't want to wait. And I will just say that Mr. Riccone and us did speak before that. We're going to continue to work with the code department about what the applicant actually does want to do there. This may not be necessary. Could be withdrawn or deferred at city council, but they do want to move forward because he couldn't get in touch with the applicant today. And we'll continue to work with them on seeing just exactly what the uses are. If it's in the realm of contractors' offices, M1 does allow that. So if that was the concern that it was office, contractors' offices are okay, and we'll work that out.
And I'm still going to make a motion for approval based on that within the last 5 months that we have made of approval of C5 on a parcel close to this one.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and properly made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, Z2126 passes.
Commissioners, if you'll go to your county zoning tab, you have one county zoning case. It is CZ4 2026. It's the application of Billy McGraw. The agent is Bill Beach. The request encompasses 2.18 plus or minus acres, currently zoned AG agricultural to C5 highway and arterial commercial district. A portion of the tract of land located on the northwest corner of the Rossview Road and Kirkwood Road intersection. It's a portion of a current operating farm. It is in the urban growth boundary of the city and the planning area of Rossview. The applicant's statement for proposed use is a proposed convenience store at a signalized intersection. Department comments, gas and water, Clarksville Gas and Water has indicated no gravity sewer available and a force main extension would be required. Transportation, provide a traffic assessment with the following general site description, AM and peak hour trip generation, roadway conditions, and access potential, with discussion on the future road widening, with the conclusion. School system comments, as commercial sites are developed near a Clarksville-Montgomery County 3-school campus, which is Kirkwood, vehicle congestion and increased pedestrian safety must be considered. Currently, traffic access from the Kirkwood campus proves difficult with daily vehicle load counts traveling in and around the vicinity of this proposed development. At this signalization, all bus and parent transportation maneuver through this signalized intersection twice a day. Designated turn lanes off of Kirkwood Road would need to be included in the design of this development. Impact with the proposed C5 zoning designation is intended to support a diverse mix of auto-oriented commercial uses and services. It would be accessible from Rossview Road and Kirkwood Road. As stated earlier, it is in the Rossview planning area with the future land use designation of suburban neighborhood. The staff's recommendation is for disapproval. The request is not consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan establishes a framework in which land use, transportation, and infrastructure systems are intended to be coordinated and development is supported by the availability of adequate infrastructure. Presently, multiple developments within this area have been conditioned to proceed in phases or at a reduced pace through the plan unit development process, which is a PUD application, and residential development limitations. In recognition of existing infrastructure constraints, given the current roadway capacity limitations and the need to maintain consistency with the comprehensive plan's infrastructure and coordination objectives, additional zoning approvals that would intensify development are not recommended at this time. The proposed C5 highway and arterial commercial zoning classification does not align with the site's future land use designation of suburban neighborhood. The C5 district permits a broad range of auto-oriented uses, many of which may be incompatible with adjacent residential development patterns in nearby schools. A less intense commercial zoning classification could be considered for this site once roadway infrastructure improvements are nearing completion. You do have the aerial photographs of the request. You have the future land use designation, and then you have the current zoning map for the area. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you.
All right, seeing no questions, we're going to open up public hearing on CZ4 2026. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Come on up, sir. Name and address, please.
My name is Bill Beach. I'm at 631 Highway 76. I own Beach Oil Company. We're under contract with the McCraws to buy this property. Our plan is to just build a neighborhood convenience store. There's some stores up by the interstate. It's about 3 miles away. Our plan is to just serve this community. I understand the traffic concerns that are brought up, but we feel like this would actually alleviate the traffic. It would prevent people from having to go 3 miles down the road to get gas and inside store items. So, you know, we feel like it's a good use of the property. The plan, if we are able to get approval, it would take about 12 months for us to develop this property. I also heard a comment about Kirkwood Road and having a turning lane, and I think the plan is to have that as a 4-lane road, so there would be a turning lane into that property. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, sir. All right, would anyone else like to speak in favor of CZ4 2026? Seeing no one, would anyone like to speak against CZ4 2026? Come on up. Were you in favor or against?
In favor?
Okay, well, come on. I'll open it back up for you. Name and address, please.
Teresa McCraw, 2385 Rossview Road. This is our farm that we're talking about. That's our corner that you're talking about. Yeah, we decided that we wanted to do what he said. So I don't understand all of this, but it is going to be it's going to be like 4 or 5 lanes, sidewalk. There's going to be sidewalk there. It goes up to the yellow house, so the whole corner is going to eventually have sidewalk all the way around it. And yeah, of course the state will be tearing up everything for the road, but I don't see any problem with us doing this now, because we got 260 houses across 1,370 units on the other side. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
All right, would anyone else like to speak in favor of CZ4 2026? Would anyone like to speak against? Come on up, sir. Name and address, please.
Joe Van Duzen, 3214 Quincy Lane. We got to stop the sprawl somehow. And this is one of those situations where this is an incompatible use with this future designation, same as the other one. You know, we're looking at trying to put C5 again right next to a school. For inside of a suburban neighborhood, a less intense use would be more appropriate for this land. C5 will just encourage sprawling of C5 in that area until the point where it just becomes another Wilma Rudolph where no one can really get anywhere. So we really need to be, again, we got to be looking at 10, 20 years down the road. I mean, I disagree with this road even being widened in the first place, but that's not up to me. We have a budget crisis in this community, and every time that we approve commercial land farther and farther out, We incentivize people to develop further and further out, which we cannot pay for with the money that we receive in property taxes. I ask that you do the math, and you'll see that the math does not check out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak against CZ 4 2026? Seeing no one, would any of the proponents like to rebut? Okay. We're going to exit public hearing. Commissioners?
I had a question at the informal. Was there any less intense commercial uses that could do a convenience gas station?
Yeah, I'll double check, but in the county, I believe C1 could do that, both the gas station and the C-store, as mentioned there. Again, our objection is not to the end use. We know that as this area grows, and they did mention the 1,400 units out there, it's just a matter of timing with the Rossview Road improvements that are quickly gaining steam. I don't think this is going to be like a Trenton Road thing where we talk about this for 10 years. At least I hope not. It does seem like there's some momentum behind it. TDOT does have it in their 5-year plan. Money is being allocated. So,
and that's also where I'd have to disagree with the gentleman who got up and spoke. Yes, we have little dense pockets of residential out in the county in certain areas, and that is where commercial actually makes sense because it reduces trips into town for those people who live in that area. No, it does not need to be overgrown or completely let to go out of control, but it is needed at times so that it does reduce trips going back into town.
In the county, permitted on conditions, so let me look at those conditions for a convenience store with fuel pumps. C2 or C1 does allow that. So give me a second. So the conditions would be that there's a maximum 25,000 gallon storage capacity, which I think is typical of those type of gas stations. No pumps within 50 feet of a residential district, 15 feet of any street right of way, and no structure located within 25 feet of a residential district, which is the ag around it. So that's the only conditions for C1, C2, C4, or C5 with a gas station and convenience store.
So C2 does
C2,
work.
C1.
And in the county, they can't build apartments on it. Mr. Beach, would that work for y'all? A less intense, if we deferred this a month and you had time to research that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll make a motion to defer for 1 month.
All right, we have a motion properly made second to defer CZ 4 2026 for 1 month. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, CZ 4 2026 has been deferred 1 month.
All right, first case that was pulled already, it was not placed on the consent agenda. Item number 26, S18 2026, application of Adam Kessler for preliminary plat approval of Kessler Estates. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Again, as mentioned, S18 2026, applicant of Adam Kessler for subdivision preliminary plat approval of Kessler Estates cluster. This is for 20.28 acres with 10 lots. Current zoning is R1 single family residential. Staff recommendation is for approval subject to the conditions listed. Those conditions are number one, approval of all utility plans by the city engineer's office. Number two, approval of all grading, drainage, and water quality plans by the city street department to include road and sidewalk improvements as required. And number three, meet CDE requirements per CDE light band's design at full cost of developer. Commissioners, if you go to page 5 through 20 in your package, you can see the public comments that have been recorded by for this application. And if there are any questions, we will try to do our best to answer.
Give you all a few moments to look over those emails. All right, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing on S18, 2026. Would anyone like to speak in favor? Name and address, please, sir.
Houston Smith, 2971 International Boulevard. Just a small subdivision extension of a existing stub road. 10 lots, one of them is going to be the existing house, so 9 additional lots, nowhere near the maximum density of the subdivision that could be allowable. Meets the zoning regulations, meets the subdivision regulations, so ask your approval, and if there's any questions, I can try to answer them.
Any questions, commissioners? Not seeing any. Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of S18, 2026? All right, would anyone like to speak against S18, 2026? Come on up, sir. Name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Jacob Yoklep, 2502 Widgeon Drive. Good afternoon, members of the Regional Planning Commission. I'm here to respectfully ask that you deny approval of the Kessler Estates subdivision application. I oppose this development for three main reasons. First, the proposed sewer line is planned to run through mine and my neighbor's properties. The slope behind our homes is extremely steep, and we have serious concerns achieving the required sewer pitch would involve extensive digging and excavation. This could cause significant disruption and potential damage to our property and create lasting impacts to the land behind our homes. Second reason, there's already a 150-foot TVA easement and a drainage easement as well located behind our properties. We're concerned about that disturbing this area could disrupt the natural flow of stormwater and increase the risk of flooding and water damage. Once drainage problems are created, homeowners are often left dealing with the consequences for years to come. Finally, we value the tree line and natural habitat behind our homes. It provides privacy, protects wildlife, and preserves the character of our neighborhood. Many of us purchased our homes with the understanding that this area would remain a natural buffer and not be further developed in a way that destroys that privacy and environment. We understand that growth is a part of our community, but the growth should be responsible and should not come at the expense of existing homeowners, drainage safety, and preservation of natural spaces. For these reasons, I respectfully ask you to deny the Kessler Estates application. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir. All right, would anyone else like to speak against S18, 2026? Come on up, sir. Name and address, please.
Good evening. Everett Skinner, 2498 Widgeon Drive. We are neighbors. My concern is just the proposal of where they want to run the sewer system. It is right off of Sunbelt. There is one residential home there, which is the owner, Mr. Kessler. Where is his sewer line running? And if this is all around his house, why is it not going straight down Sunbelt? Why is it coming back behind the properties that are existing? Makes no sense to me. If there's another existing connection for his home, why not run it directly down that line? Number two, we, as Mr. Yokel, excuse me, I'm going to say Jacob because I always mispronounced his last name. Jacob and I had already discussed this as well. I mean, our concern is that we already know that TVA is going to be running their electrical lines that they have them above. They're planning on putting those below, and they're supposed to start that at the end of end of 2026, going into 2027. Where this sewage line is going, that's going to be right through that. I wish I had a pointer; I could be able to show you that. But the that easement that we were talking about, where it goes through, there's lines right behind our backyard, basically 20 feet away. So if they're building the homes behind it and then having that sewage line, that's going to have a problem with the TVA. I don't know if you guys have had that discussion with them or finding out exactly what they're going to do, but I would appreciate it if you would. I mean, everything else is what Jacob mentioned, we go along with. But those two things are a concern. I will mention this if this is going to be, and forgive me, I'm not sure of the zoning portions of it, so you're saying this is going from an S1, which is forestry, to a C for residential? What is it listed
It's already
as?
zoned properly.
It's already zoned properly now?
Yes.
Okay. So there, it's residential, there's no businesses or anything else that's behind there?
No.
For the last year, there's been some loading. You'll see, if you can see the pictures around there, if you've been on the property, you'll see these multiple pallets, and I mean over 1,000, that are right there in the line of Zone 1, or that Area 1. There's been loading and unloading of items for the last year and a half. This is residential, that's not business. I mean, we don't load things like that. And we know it because at 12 midnight till 3 a.m., we're hearing them unloading and loading. So I'm just concerned, is that been sanctioned also?
That'd be a question for building and codes, probably.
There's a representative from Building and Codes here listening, so.
I mean, that's a concern.
You got it.
That is a huge concern. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. All right, I have room for one more on S18 2026 if anyone would like to speak against. All right, seeing no one. Mr. Smith, would you like to rebut?
So the sewer in the area, this house is on septic. There's no sewer down Sunbelt for him to get to. So there is a platted utility easement that runs along the side of those houses to the east. So those easements were left in place to be able to make connections like this. So that's what we plan to utilize, whether it's, it could shift one way or the other, but all of those lots have available easements there. And as far as the TVA, they did comment, but there was nothing about a line being in the way, so I'm not sure about that one. Okay. Were there any other questions I could answer?
I think the main thing was the sewer
Yeah.
issue and the TVA. All right, thank you, sir. All right, we're going to exit public hearing now. I'm going to turn it over to commissioners.
We do have an email from TVA. Mr. McKenna has that response from them on that property.
I do apologize, Commissioners. This did seem to get cut off in your reports there, but they did respond back. They noted a TVA easement / right-of-way is nearby, but appears to be unaffected, and no further comments are needed by them. Usually when a TVA easement is on a subdivision, it's part of our conditions to send it to them, and they will need to sign off as well as part of the right-of-way for TVA. So,
In addition, we do have a representative from Gas and Water if there are any questions about the sewer line.
Please do.
Mr. Browder?
Ben Browder, 2215 Madison Street.
I'll ask the first question. I think I'll cover my commissioner's questions here, but this is not typical, but not illegal, should we say. Most sites we see have sewer at the street or at the end of a stub street. This one's just a little unique because of the topography and the old house out there, that it's coming through an easement, but that's the purpose of the easements, correct? And
Correct.
Can you shed any more light on how those easements get used, how the property owners are notified and protected during that construction?
Normally under construction, yeah, the contractor will make sure, it's either silt fence, which street department can talk, to that. Any damage is done, has to be replaced in kind. But as far as that, anything that happens after that, the contractor's held.
Other questions for him?
Pretty well answers mine, too.
Thank you, sir.
I'll make a motion for approval due to this already being zoned correctly and with the conditions listed.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a properly made second. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, S18 2026 passes.
All right, Commissioners, our next non-consent agenda case is SR 47, 2026. Applicant of Hunter Wynn et al. Site name is Northeast Drive Villas. Proposed use is multifamily, consisting of 6.73 acres and 102 proposed units. Current zoning is R4 multifamily residential district, and the staff recommendation is for deferral. Reasons for deferral: pending revisions to address staff comments, including changes to parking and landscaping, revisions to address fire department internal access concerns, as well as approval by Clarksville Street Department on final revisions. Department comments of note: Clarksville Street Department has requested to not send any water to the basin to the north or the south, an additional analysis of the radius of the Northeast Drive and private drive, and to also detain water on site. If you look in your commissioner packets, pages 55 through 148, there are quite a few public comments, and we'll give you a second to look at those.
All right, we're going to open up the public hearing on SR 47, 2026. Would anyone like to speak in favor?
Commissioners, Vernon Wickley, 108 Centerpoint Drive, for the applicant Hunter Wynn. Certain cases, I guess you really can't guess. This came before you 3 years ago and was approved as drawn. We left it the same way because it had been approved 3 years ago, and that developer never went through with the project, and now a new developer is on board. It's hard to believe the change in the case in a 3-year period when nothing has changed about it. But there are some comments that they want to address, and we're willing to give it a 30-day deferral to, and also to see what has come up since that time, and maybe that's what we'll find out here in the disapproval side. Any questions?
While we have you up here, I mean, a lot of emails on drainage and things. Can you address any of that at this point? Or would you rather wait until next meeting?
Oh, I will address it. I think it would be good. I'll get a rebuttal chance so I can hear what they're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak in favor of SR 47, 2026? All right, seeing no one, would anyone like to speak against SR 47, 2026? Come on up, sir. Name and address, please.
Kevin Bean, 1037 Glenhurst Way.
Mr. Bing, you can just drop the whole packet. We'll get it distributed up here.
You ready? Okay, if you're from Meriwether Farms in Greenbrier, please stand up so we can show that we here in support to oppose this multifamily complex behind us. My name is Kevin Bean, the HOA president of Meriwether Farms. I reside at 1037 Glenhurst Way. I'm here today to strongly oppose SR 47 2026, the proposed Northeast Drive villas. The Trenton Road and Tinytown Road corridor at Exit 1 is already the worst in our area for congestion and accidents. Adding 102 apartments, which would bring over 200 additional vehicles without a dedicated traffic study, is irresponsible and dangerous. It will also add a substantial amount of additional cut-through traffic through Glenhurst and through our neighborhood, which is already a problem. In April 2025, Meriwether Farms suffered a severe flooding. Approximately 16 homes sustained damage reaching up to $45,000 each. Many homes were surrounded by flood water for several weeks. Crawl space was damaged for months. We have a small retention pond located right behind 3 of those homes and the HOA property in the rear of the neighborhood where Northeast Villas will connect. During the 2025 flood, both ponds were completely overwhelmed and remained several feet above normal levels for weeks. Will the builders be allowed to fill that in is one question that we have, especially to the smaller pond. The flooding was caused by inaccurate infrastructure and upstream runoff, not just heavy rainfall. The county has spent millions of dollars buying flood-damaged homes. Both Montgomery County and the city of Clarksville are facing millions of dollars in lawsuits from homeowners affected by the flood. The process, in my opinion, is unfair to the homeowners but favor the builders and developers. Despite the recent disaster, the proposed development sits uphill from us. My question is, if their drainage system fails during the next major storm, will the extra runoff flow directly into our neighborhood and flood us again? Then would the city be held responsible for the builder? It's time to put communities over profit. The consequences will fall not on the developer, but on our families. Specific concerns was raised this past Thursday in a discussion between the street department, RPC, and the builder, yet those documents have not been made public. Why were only the builders in attendance? Key decisions continue to be made behind closed doors while residents are left in the dark. And what I mean by that is, you look at the map, it's not a revised map to show where his retaining ponds is gonna be, where he's gonna hold this water. And if it's not on there, I haven't seen it, then that come over on us, and it's gonna affect us and Greenbrier as well. We're not against responsible development, but we strongly oppose reckless projects that put existing homeowners at risk. I urge this panel to defer SR 47-2026 until we have a full independent traffic study, a comprehensive drainage analysis, and full transparency of all meeting records. Where is the sewer is going to hook up at? Why none of his plans include drainage? There's nowhere on there where it says he's gonna hold his water on his property. And if he's allowed to do this, then we're in trouble once again. And on top of that,
Sir, I'm gonna wrap it up here real quick. You did run over your time.
oh, okay, I'm good. Thank you. Bar any questions from you guys, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. All right. Would anyone else like to speak against SR 47-2026? Come on up, please.
Thank you. My name is Carrie Lovato. I am the city council person for Ward 12 in this area, and I'm also a resident of the Greenbrier neighborhood that he referenced. I want to highlight the issues of flooding that he was talking about. There are actually 3 different areas that we saw substantial flooding last year, both times. 2 in the Meriwether Farm that affected approximately 16 neighbors, and 9 houses in the Greenbrier neighborhood. During those situations, we saw flooding in crawl spaces that was inches away from their living areas. So not just a normal amount in a crawl space that we would expect, but dangerously close to affecting their living space. If you look at the elevation maps and the current stormwater drainage, any additional runoff from this area will still affect those areas. That's exactly where it's going to go. So my request is actually to defer this until January 2027 because the city is currently doing a stormwater utility study, and that would give us enough time to get those answers and see what would be adequate for that area. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, have room for one more against on SR 47, 2026. Would anyone like to speak against? Come on up, sir. Name and address, please.
Lester Hartraft, 1057 Glenhurst Way. I live right across the street from the retaining pond. I would just like to tell you all that I had water in my crawl space almost up to the bottom of my flooring from February till I got to pump it out. And then me and a couple of Army buddies retired. It took us from February to June to get the water out of the bottom of my house. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Weekly, would you like an opportunity to rebut here?
Yes, sir. First of all, we're sorry about all the flooding in the area. I mean, it's all happened last year and maybe times before. And so with that knowledge and with the state law, you know, we can't put any extra water in their pond. And we'll do that by certain engineering methods. One is retention ponds and the other is compensating cut. And that will make it where this site does not affect their ponds. We'll try to help their situation by enlarging them as much as we can over and beyond what's required of us. So we think we're glad to know this information, and we'll be glad to work with them trying to improve their drainage in any way we can. We definitely won't be adding to their drainage. And I don't know if there was...
There was one question, Mr. Weekly, about where the sewer's coming from.
Right now, we're showing it on this preliminary and the last preliminary coming between two of the houses in Greenbrier, where there's a manhole at the end of the cul-de-sac. Very similar to the situation we just had in that subdivision before this one, Kessler Estates, up in easement. So even though the site plan doesn't give details of the drainage right now, that comes next step in the drainage approval through the street department. And I'd be glad to answer any other questions if you have any.
Commissioners, any further questions of Mr. Weekly?
I guess I have one. You know, the 100-year touches from both ponds touches this property,
That's
as you
correct.
can see. Is your plan to enlarge those basins or create your own basins that would then feed those basins downhill? Well, I know this is a little preliminary, and I know you still got to work with the street department.
If you did compensatory cut, you would be enlarging those basins on our property.
On your property, yeah.
Not on their property. If you did retention, you would have your own basin that held the water, and you'd be dependent upon a standpipe to handle that water.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure the big pond in Meriwether has a standpipe, and I think the one in Greenbrier must not be working properly, although we had huge amounts of rain last year that held it. But irregardless, when we hold our water, we won't be adding to their problem.
So the areas you have hatched out as drainage area on the northeast and the southwest of this parcel are areas you've identified for compensatory cut. So even though it goes right up to the buildings, you're not going to go towards those buildings. You're going to go away from them in those areas? Because if the 100-year alters, obviously the location of these buildings as shown today will have to alter as well, depending on the calculations that you have. And I'm assuming you've made those already.
That's why the 30 days doesn't offend us. That's what we'll work on, the drainage, and that will tie down the building locations a little bit better. to where we won't have to move them when we get into the drainage.
Okay. So you're requesting 30-day deferral then, so you can get.
I'm agreeing to it.
Okay, I got you.
Motion to defer for 1 month.
Hold on, we're still in public hearing, man.
I thought we were done.
1 second now. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Does anybody want to hear from the street department real quick on any of this, or we want to wait till next month?
I'd like to see the drainage plan next month.
Okay. We're not going to see drainage plan next month? Come on up, sir. Let's just give it to us real quick.
Well, I mean, Jeff could probably speak to this a little better. That's conditional, would it not be? I mean, it's a little bit ahead of the schedule to have that early and make your voting based on a grading and drainage plan that hasn't been properly reviewed and approved yet.
That is typically a condition, but I think there's situations such as this that the commissioners may feel more comfortable having that
Sure.
go through more of a design that you're comfortable with, that assures everyone, them included, that,
Yeah.
you know, because it's their signature on the end of the day for this plan, that they're comfortable with your calculations that you work out with Mr. Weekly.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't violate the TCA, I'm
I
absolutely
don't
okay
think
with
so.
that.
I think
So
you can ask for it.
you can get it done by next month then?
Oh, I'm not drawing it. You got to talk to the
Okay.
engineers behind
Oh,
us.
okay.
Yeah, we can get it reviewed. I
Gotcha.
don't see it working as drawn, and I think Mr. Weekly and I have talked about that. There's some buildings and access roads directly over some storage on the east side of this lot, and kind of enhance the comment. It's Big Brother TDEC governs this and any one of the drainage things. This lot is higher than its entire surround. It's already shedding water to every one of those areas. Once the impervious goes down, it's going to shed it at a higher rate, and that's something that it can't do. It can't send water, any new rate of water, to one of those areas. So he's going to have to detain and retain on site, comp cuts and that sort of stuff to check the box. But ultimately, those areas all share the same water table. So again, we, just like TDEC, would allow him to continue to share those basins in that 100-year elevation. So again, we will not require him to isolate every ounce of water to this site. That's not only our requirement, that's TDEC's requirement. The adjacent sites have to take the uphill water. What he can't do is adversely affect those adjacent properties and alter the 100-year to the negative. And it sounds like he's trying to make a positive on that. He's trying to help with an additional compensatory cut that would supplement and lower that 100-year on the adjacent site. Sounds like.
Any other questions for the street department? Thank you, sir.
Yep.
All right, commissioners.
Make a motion for 30-day deferral. Second.
All right, we have a motion properly made second for a 30-day deferral. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. S18 2026, oh, I'm sorry, wrong one. SR 47 2026 has been deferred for 30 days.
All right, now we'll take up SR 45.
Ms. Streetman?
I apologize to short you a quorum,
I
but I
know.
have to leave. The Finance Committee starts in 10 minutes.
All right.
Okay.
With that in mind, when we drop below quorum, we won't be able to take any further actions. I'm not worried about the other business. We were going to defer this other case, SR 45, anyway. We can defer it really quick, or we can just slide it to next month's agenda. Again, we can do the budget and the fee schedules next month. So
Motion to defer SR 45 to next month due to lack of quorum.
it just is
All right, we
what
have a
it is.
motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, SR 45 has been deferred.
One more, hang on, motion to defer other business to next month. due to
Thank
lack
you.
of quorum.
Thank you
Second.
for that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Other business been deferred. Motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
We can have the public comment period, though.
You can have.
Yeah, we will still have the public comment period if anyone does want to come up and have 3 minutes to say anything to the planning commission. That does not require a
You're
quorum.
gone, man.
All right, I didn't think so.